Okay, in this next presentation, we're just going to go on a little digression now. What we've seen so far is how to create, format the contents of a database query on a web page, and we've done it in a manual way. We've accessed the database, we've got a record set back, we've cycled through the record set, and done a loop, and then displayed everything that's in it manually, effectively. That gives us a lot of control, okay, which is a positive thing. Negative thing is we have to code it, obviously. Now there are some ways of actually making that much faster in Visual Studio, and that is by using components such as the grid view. Okay, in some ways it constricts you, but in other ways it makes things incredibly fast. Okay, and also what I'm going to be using is the Server Explorer. The Server Explorer is a way to display the internal structures of databases that you're using in your projects as part of the general project environment, such that you can do all kinds of interesting things with it. Okay, so let me just show you what I'm trying to say. So click on Mobile Standard, let's create a new web page. So click Add New Item, and we're going to make a web form. We're going to call it something like Grid. Okay, so this will create a page called grid.aspx. Okay, so there it is, there's grid.aspx. And now what I'm next going to do, I'll just put into design window for now. And now I'm going to bring up a thing called the Server Explorer. Now the Server Explorer is a very useful feature of Visual Studio, in the sense that it allows you to show the structure of a database inside your project. So let's go to Project and go View and go to Server Explorer. Okay, this has got some existing databases I've created myself, but I'm going to now add another one, which is going to click Add Connection by right-click on Data Connections using Add Connection. And now let's find, okay, first of all we have to say what kind of data source it is. Now, the moment we've got it, default is Microsoft SQL Server. Let's change that and make that into a Microsoft Access database file. Okay, click OK. Okay, and that brings up now this dialog. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is choose the Access database that we're using, mobile standards.accdb, which is in our app data directory. Okay, I'll get rid of all this kind of username, etc. And I'll just click on Test Connection just to see if we can indeed get a connection to that database. So click on Test Connection succeeded. Okay, and then click now OK. And what happens as a consequence is now, as you see, inside my list of data connections in my Server Explorer, I've got mobile standards.accdb, okay, which is very handy. And if I click on the plus symbol at the side, I can then show its tables, its views, its stored procedures, and its functions. Okay. And at the moment, as you know, we've only got one table, which is called Papers, and Papers has got 4 fields: ID, author, title, and week. Okay. So now I'm going to show now a way to do what we've done already, but in a much faster, quicker way. And what I can do now is if I just drag this table, Papers, from the Server Explorer onto my web page, so put it into that initial div and let go, okay, what it does is it then creates a grid view control in the page. Okay, now that is extremely useful for us. Okay. What it does, though, is it creates a thing called an access data source with it. It creates the grid view, which is this part here, and also a data source as well. Now, there's a slight confusion which happens when you're using Access 2007, which says it should have an access data source when in fact it shouldn't. It requires a more generic data source. So what you need to do is slightly alter this. So instead of saying access data source, click New Data Source here, and once you've got that, you choose database, not access database. Choose database. Let's give it a name like mobile DB. Okay, an ID for the database. Click OK, and now it says which data connection should your application use. And if we lower this down, you see there we've got a list of databases, and there's our database, mobile standards.accdb. Okay, and then if we just click on Next. It says, do you want to save this connection in the application configuration file? I don't think we do, because we've already got it in the configuration file, which is web.config, as you know. So let's just ignore that, say don't save connection because there's no point. Let's say next, Okay, and next, as you see now, it says we can choose what fields we want to display. Okay, so all I want to display are the author, the title, and the week. Okay, no probably need to display the ID, for example, here. So having done that, I'm going to click Next. Test the query, make sure it does appear. It does indeed appear. That's what we'll see on the page. I click Finish. Okay. Okay, and it says, would you like to regenerate the grid view column fields? It says say yes. Okay, so then what we've done there now, we've got, we've put now our source has been done there. We said mobile DB as our data source. We can actually get rid of this access data source because it'll just confuse us. Okay, and now let's see if we press play, what will happen. We press play. This will bring up the browser, I hope. And when it does, it should display the contents of the database. And it does indeed. Okay, so as you see there, we've got the contents of the database. Okay, at the moment, just in a very kind of uninteractive way. It's got the author, got the title of the week. But what we can do within the so let's now switch this off. Okay, we can do things like if I click on the grid view control and click on the arrow at the side, we can do things like enable paging and enable sorting. Paging means that it'll only show 10 records at a time if there's more than 10. Okay, and enable sorting means that the headings will become clickable, so I'll be able to click on those headings in order to sort the data. Okay, and so now if I now play that, okay, let's see what this looks like now. I know as it comes up, and here it is, and there it is. So there's the author. I can click on the author and I can change the order of the sort. There's the title. I can change the title. There's the week. Okay. So as you see, that is an extremely fast way of doing all the things we did. Although it must equally be said, it gives you much less control over the display of the data within the page. Okay, so that's the next way we found of doing of this thing by using a grid view rather than using a kind of like a handwritten HTML page. But anyway, so we stop there now, and next we'll be thinking about changing the structure of the database. So it's going to have things like enable to put in the abstract in, and to put in some comments, and also to put in a hyperlink to where this paper might be kept on the internet. Okay, and so we have a much fuller system.